Today on Dodson's Corner, we are going over the top UFC rematches we need to see. Lucas, are you ready for this?
I'm ready. There's so many bangers on this list.
I mean, we're 2 weeks away from one of the biggest rematches you could make inside of the UFC with Islam versus Arman, and it's time to get into it. I'll start it off first here, Lucas. The first one, I think this is probably the first one that both me and you had on our list. It's nothing else than Sean O'Malley versus Peter Yan, but we need this 5 rounds this time.
Yeah, this one is like the reason why I came up with this idea.
I think that this fight, the 3-round fight, might be your favorite fight of all time.
Yeah.
There's no fight you talk about more than this fight. I need Peter Yan versus Sean O'Malley. It was a war.
It was a war. Best 3-round war. Yeah, I love this fight. It was so back and forth. And like, I know people scream robbery about it, but realistically, it could have gone either way. So 5 rounds, I think it could give us a definitive answer, especially if Yan picks up in the later rounds. But we saw O'Malley against Merab. Dude was cooking in the later rounds. In the 4th and 5th rounds, it was getting closer, and he was kind of shifting the tide in his favor. So if both guys are still progressing, you have to remember, Yan is only 31. Right? A lot of people, we
They're
forgot.
the same age, I think.
I think they are,
Or is O'Malley 32?
No, O'Malley's not 32. He's either 30 or 31. So they're
the same age. And like one common theme we're going to see this whole video is there's a lot of fights the first time that were super close that we want to see the rematch of because it could go either way realistically.
Also, when I was doing research for this video, did you know did you remember Jeff Neal has beaten Bilal Muhammad? Such a random fight that I was looking back on. I was like, in 2019, like only 5-6 years ago. It's
2019 was only 6 years ago now.
Yeah.
That feels like yesterday, man. We're getting old.
Even like 2016. Like I still remember all the rap songs that came out in 2016.
9 years ago since X died? Ooh, I soon should say to let go. Give a sign. Everyone knows that if O'Malley and Yan fought again in 2025, it would be an absolute banger. You know, Yan is he's back on the up. You know, he was down for a little bit post illegal blows to the head while they were grounded. He was in a little slump, but now he's on the way back up.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he does next. Like, he still has so much in front of him.
2025 is going to be interesting for him because, like, where does he go? Realistically, he should be next in line for a belt, but it's like...
Sean probably gets the rematch.
Yeah, and if Merab wins, they're not going to put Yan versus Merab, I don't think. So
no point. There's no point in doing that.
Yeah, but you never know. Maybe Yan's a different man now. Different creature.
It's just the styles, though, right?
He moved from Moscow to Dagestan.
All right, I'll move on to my first fight. Of course, I had O'Malley versus Yan, so I'll pick a different one. This might be another one you have. Lopez versus Evloev, too.
Obviously.
This
first fight is not canon. Their first fight is not canon. It does not count. It was not an actual fight. Unsanctioned, basically a backyard brawl, short notice. Doesn't count on Lopez's resume. Doesn't count on Evloev's resume. So that's why we need to see this fight. Ideally in 2025.
Yeah.
You know, number 1 contender fight for that belt. It's a scary fight for, I think, all UFC fans, knowing that Evloev is so boring and has the potential to just like lay on Lopez for 5 rounds. But also at the same time, Lopez has that one-punch KO power. He has that excitement. He has that grittiness. He has that swagger to, you know, to be able to just scramble his way out of those tough situations with Evloev. And I do think that you would have an exciting fight here because Evloev, as much as crap as everyone gives him, he is not actually too bad of a striker. Like his striking is not too bad.
No, it's not awful.
I mean, he's had good fights before. Him versus Arnold Allen was a banger.
Yeah, and he has better striking than Aljo.
Oh, 100%. Aljo has no striking. I might have better striking than Aljo.
It's like in UFC 5, he only upgraded the grappling path.
That's like me. I strictly upgrade takedown defense. Because that's the only thing you need to do.
Exactly.
And front kick power. Spam front kicks. When my opponent is weak against the front kick, I'm like, oh, nightmare matchup.
Easy money, Moicano. No, if you ever play this guy in UFC 5, dude, imagine if we did online matches versus people.
Me versus Britisher?
This guy is so bad. He only spams front kicks. He'll go for a glove touch, boom, front kick.
It's literally strictly front kick, calf kick. Front kick, calf kicks.
Oh, your calf kicks are so annoying.
So you just have to guess what's coming. There's no punches thrown.
It's a long range.
You may
fighter.
as well cut off my arms.
He's basically Pereira. All right.
Moving on to my next fight. I have Aspinall versus Volkov 2. I just think that in terms of heavyweights in the world, like Volkov's number 3 inside of the UFC. So this is a fight that realistically I wouldn't mind to see again, just because I feel like Volkov has looked very good in his last 2 fights. And although I do think that Aspinall goes and beats him in a second fight, I just think that in terms of the heavyweights, it's probably a fight that I'd want to see the most. And I'm kind of rooting for Volkov. You know, after he got absolutely robbed, when a fighter gets robbed inside of the UFC, the whole world goes and they're rooting for him, you know? So with this fight, I think that we would have, everyone would kind of be like, yeah, Volkov deserves this after just getting screwed over by Gon and by the judges. And he's the 3rd best heavyweight inside of the UFC, 4th best heavyweight inside of the world.
Yeah.
I think he's definitely better than Gon, Pavlovich, all the rest of the guys at the top. And
Well, he's beaten both of them, technically.
technically, you know? So with this for me is like Volkov, we could see him have this rematch, and it probably fares pretty similar. He probably gets knocked out this time compared to have his arm broken off. But
You never know. It's tough because, yeah, Volkov, I just checked his age. He's 36 right now. So he's going to be turning 37 this year. He probably has about 2 or 3 more solid years in him. You have to remember, he's had a ton of fights. Like, if you look at his record, I think there's like 40.
I think he swear he had like a crazy amount of fights even before he got to the UFC.
Yeah, so he's taken a lot of damage over the course of his career, and he's a heavyweight, right?
Yeah.
So just in any fight, naturally, you're going to take damage. One strike is like, okay, he could be rocked for good now.
And I think the thing is with Volkov too is I want to see what kind of hairstyle he pull out next fight. You know, he's kind of in this phase of switching up his haircut every time.
So he has a total of 49 fights.
Whew.
38 wins and 11 losses. That's insane
Crazy.
longevity for a heavyweight. I don't know. It's wild. I'd like to see him and Tom run it back. I just what I want to see is Tom go past the first round.
Yes.
Even though it's like extremely hype when he always gets a first round finish, and like that stat, the fact that it keeps going down from 2 minutes, like average fight time, unbelievable. But if he could go a couple rounds with Volkov, I think it's not like I wouldn't be too nervous for him.
No,
because
but
I'm
it's like
confident. Yeah,
you build that confidence in Tom. You know, you see him going into that second, that third round, and you're like, okay, Tom has a gas tank that we've never seen before.
Yeah, that's like the main concern I have with Jones. We've talked about it a little bit, but if it gets dragged into that 4th and 5th round, Jones probably has a good chance to submit him or finish him. All right, this is going to be a bit of a throwback. This one happened quite a while ago, but I want to see Holloway versus Poirier at lightweight.
I have Holloway versus Poirier on my list just
Yeah.
because like it was such a long time ago that it really wasn't Max Holloway who he is now, you know, and especially moving up to lightweight, I think this fight would be really close. You know, it'd be tough to say who wins this fight. You know, we have Holloway who 2 fights ago had that incredible performance against Justin Gaethje, and then we had Poirier in his last fight who had a great performance against Islam, although he lost. You know, he's one of the best boxers in the UFC with not the greatest ground game, not the greatest takedown defense, especially as you get older, you're not as mobile, so it's harder to stop those takedowns. Went into the 5th round with Islam Makhachev.
Yeah, it's one of the most respectable losses that you can ever have. For this matchup specifically, who would you pick, and what do you think the odds would be, and who would you pick?
I think obviously the odds would favor Max Holloway just because I think that he would probably be about a minus 150 and then Poirier about a plus 125, I think.
I think if they matched up right now, if this fight was actually announced, judging by what their last performances were, I think Poirier would actually be the favorite.
But you got to think about age. We know for a fact that age, every fight, they're just dropping off that cliff.
I know, but here's the thing. Poirier, he hasn't, his chin was cracked by Gaethje 3 fights ago now. And so he's had a submission, which he took damage in that fight, but it's not like he got KO'd cold. Before that, he didn't take any damage really against BSD. Holloway's coming off a KO loss. If Holloway's chin is gone for good, Dustin has an easy night.
Yeah.
He hits so hard.
We just don't know what would happen. We just don't know the state of Max Holloway, too.
Yeah.
But I think realistically, in terms of all of Dustin Poirier's final fights, I think that this would be the best fight to make right now just because have Dustin go for that BMF belt. You know, retire with that BMF belt.
That would be sick.
And then if he retires with it, you can move it up to a different weight class. Although I don't know if there really is another weight class I'd want to move it to.
Just welterweight?
Yeah. Or even keep it in lightweight and then it can go up or down kind
That's
of thing.
the thing. Like, if it's in lightweight, then featherweight can usually fight for it as well.
And you could have a lightweight, like a Dustin Poirier, go up to welterweight and go and fight Colby, Captain America.
Did you see he's talking about moving to 185?
Yeah, and I said that in our moving fighters who need to move up in weight classes. I was like, I could potentially, I think I would like to see Colby versus Sean Strickland. I think more so, I think that the fight would be not even close. It would be Colby Covington versus a bigger Leon Edwards. But then everyone's like, this guy's an absolute idiot. Colby Covington is the smallest lightweight in the world. This guy is the biggest casual of all time. Yeah, clap off on me.
Well, yeah, because that's who we want to fight, right?
Yeah, he wants to fight
Sean Strickland. Interesting. Not a good matchup for him.
No, definitely not. All right, that was actually the next one I had was Holloway versus Poirier too.
Really?
But I have another Max Holloway fight. Max Holloway versus Charles Oliveira.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Justin Gaethje again, just to see him get KO'd again.
No, I don't need to see that fight ever again. But I think that realistically, this is another fight that's very similar to Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier, as we saw it so long ago.
Yeah.
But this is one where Max Holloway got the win and we had Charles the give
esophagus injury.
Yeah, Charles needs to go watch John Cena Never Give Up.
Maybe watch he couldn't move.
Maybe
bro.
watch a Nick A30 Never Back Down, Never What.
move.
Charles just quit.
Yeah.
This was in Charles's low point.
Yeah.
But I think if you had Holloway versus Charles Oliveira in 2025,
that would be. Honestly, that'd be one of the best matchups. That would be a hype fight.
Oh, it would be
two of the fan favorites.
Who would you choose?
Who would I root for?
Yeah, You'd obviously go Charles.
I think Charles. You'd go Holloway, I think.
I wouldn't want to see either lose.
I know. Here's the thing, though. Holloway, so hard to take down, right? Ilya couldn't keep him down. Pretty much any grappler he's faced, Volk couldn't keep him down. And with Charles, we just saw him against Chandler, and he got caught a couple times. Mm-hmm. And Max Holloway is a much higher level striker than Michael Chandler.
Yeah, I think that they're both tough matchups for each other.
Yeah.
So it's like, holy crap. Like, I think that fight have potential to be even better than Michael Chandler versus Charles Oliveira, which I think that the average fan thought that was a good fight, exciting, but I really loved that fight. It was one of my favorite fights of the whole year. So getting to see Holloway versus Charles Oliveira, a rematch of a fight that realistically neither guy was in their prime yet. That wasn't who Max Holloway and Charles Oliveira are, the two guys that are Holloway's a top 10 fighter of all time and Charles is top 20, top 25 fighter of all time. Like, it is not these absolute MMA legends.
Mm-hmm. Who do you think, would there be a finish in this fight or do you think it's going the distance?
I would realistically say the distance.
Yeah.
I just don't see either guy putting each other out.
Yeah, I don't think Oliveira could KO Holloway or even submit him.
He could potentially make him tap with.
Yeah, maybe.
But it would be just such a. You wouldn't know what was going on. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know if there would be a finish. But at the same time, it's like, oh, either of them could finish them easily.
When was the last time we actually had to see Holloway throw up a submission defense? Like, when was the last time someone tried to submit him seriously?
Volk?
But like,
I don't even know if Volk ever tried to submit him.
Yeah, it was more wrestling, like not jiu-jitsu.
Was it when he lost to Poirier?
I don't know.
It might have been Dustin Poirier.
The GOAT. All right, I'll go with my next pick. I have something that's probably going to happen in the future. Kai Kara-France versus Pantoja.
I have a different Pantoja fight.
Okay, well, I picked this one because they were both relatively younger in their careers, especially Kai Kara-France. He was a bit inexperienced. And I think we've talked about this a lot, but to beat Pantoja, you might just have to crack his chin. Even though he has one of the best chins in MMA right now, you're going to have to put him out in the first couple of rounds if you want a shot at winning a fight. And Kai Kara-France, he's probably the guy to do it. MMA math doesn't work, but Steve Erceg went the distance. Kai Kara-France KO'd him pretty quickly. So the striking should be better from Kai Kara-France. And if we know what Steve Erceg could do, who knows? Could be a close fight. Maybe Pantoja just dominates again. Maybe he submits him ASAP. But Kai Kara-France also has really good takedown defense. That's something that doesn't get talked about very much.
I'm currently just like thinking in my head, kind of laughing at how like UFC TikTokers who give out like betting advice be like, oh, I got the best thing for you. Kai Kara-France versus Pantoja. Kai Kara-France is a massive underdog, but he knocked out Steve Erceg in the first round. The man who took this guy to a close decision. He's a lock. And I'm like, oh, you guys are getting sold.
Scam.
He's one step away from being Hamza Shemaev with that kind of advice. No, but that's definitely one of the good fights that we'd want to see for Pantoja in 2025. Potentially, I think that with Pantoja, you have to go into the rematches now. Outside of Tyra, he's the only one, but Tyra's still probably 2 fights away from a fight with Pantoja. So getting to go back on some of his earlier fights, like the guy I'm going to mention now here, Manel Kopp versus Pantoja, that fight happened like, it was a few years ago. This was pre-champion Pantoja. So, like, getting to go back and seeing these two elite strikers in Kai Kara-France and Manel Kopp go up against Pantoja, it's like, they're probably both the worst matchups for Pantoja. So having those two guys come in and potentially have 10 rounds to try and put out Pantoja, a guy who has a great chin, but with those guys, it's very rare to see that kind of KO power, the one punch KO power in flyweight.
Yeah. And Manel Cap versus Kai France would be a great fight.
It'd be a banger
If Kai France loses, we could maybe see Manel Cap versus Kai France.
for the belt.
No, not for the belt.
Oh.
I said if Kai France loses.
Yeah.
Or even if he wins, like eventually down the road, if
Yeah.
Manel Cap gets another win under his belt. Yeah, that'd be a good one.
I think that if Pantoja ever lost his belt, it would take so long for him to get a rematch. Just because, I mean, like, I feel like every flyweight at the top has fought each other, but like Pantoja's just fought everyone.
Yeah.
Like he's beat everyone twice.
They would want so many new matchups with the champion.
Yeah, and I'm also going to call out the fans one more time. We did a nightmare matchup video for every champion. I mentioned Manel Kape versus being a nightmare matchup for Pantoja. Everyone hated on me then. Now everyone's saying that.
True. You were the one saying that.
Guys.
Yeah.
Guys.
He might be a genius.
Guys.
He's a prodigy.
I know sometimes I say some whack stuff, but when you're filming a video every day, you're like filming for what, 4 or 5 hours a week?
Yeah.
Sorry that some of my takes don't age too great.
We say so much stuff.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes we say the opposite of what we said last week just so we can balance it out, you know?
Yeah, you know.
All right. I have a couple more than you, so I'll go again.
I just went. I went Manel Kape.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, that was your
Kai
matchup?
Yeah, I had that as one of my matchups.
Okay, sounds good. Well, then I'll go with something that you definitely have. Izzy versus Strickland.
I don't have that.
Really?
I don't know if I need to see that fight.
Dude, I need to see that because did Strickland just get lucky or is he actually just a nightmare matchup for Izzy?
Like, I have no desire to see that fight.
Really?
Just, I think it also depends on how Izzy does against Imavov. If Izzy loses against Imavov, I don't want to see that fight.
No, I think if Izzy does actually lose against Imavov, which it's so funny. This is, I think, going to go down as one of the most dividing fights ever. Like, there's so many people who are so high on Izzy still saying like he looked his best after Dricus or in that Dricus performance. He looked the best he's ever looked. He did actually break his own significant strike round record. So is he actually still really high level? In my opinion, he looked a bit slower.
Yeah, 100%.
His counter striking was not the same as it used to be. Like if you go back and watch Paulo Costa, even the Alex Pereira fight, the first fight, it just doesn't look quite as sharp. It does. I do feel like all of his Pereira fights, the Strickland fight, they have taken it out of him a little bit. Like he's just tired.
100%. And I think it's so interesting with like that top of middleweight. It's like, how good really is everyone? You know, like how good was Strickland? And then that means how good was Dricus?
Yeah.
You know, and then how good is a guy like Adesanya still? How good is a guy like Whitaker still? How good are these two guys down below, a little bit lower, Imavov and Barao? How good are these guys in middleweight?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I mean, on paper, they're beating guys like Adesanya.
On paper.
But then it's like, how good is Adesanya still?
Yeah, that's true.
But I mean, obviously, you'd want to see that fight. Like, no one's going to say no to Strickland versus Adesanya, especially if Adesanya beats Imavov and Strickland loses to Dricus.
Well, that's the thing. I think if they both win and lose their next fights, I think that's the next matchup to make.
Probably. And I'd much rather see that than give Adesanya to Barajo.
Or give Adesanya, if he wins Imavov, an immediate title shot against Hamzat in the future.
Tell him to take a year off.
They would love that. They would freaking love that.
Take a year off, go spend some times with your dogs, and then my next matchup. Oh, it's a rematch that we could potentially see this year. There's a 100% chance we could see it this year. We saw it last year at UFC 300 in a 3-round fight. And immediately after I said, I need 5 rounds of this.
Yeah.
Give me Charles Oliveira versus Arman Tsarukyan 2.
I have that as well.
That fight was so good.
So good.
So good.
At the time, it was like hated on because
it was so close.
It was so close.
And Charles lost. But like I think with time, it's like it's one of those fights that either way, you couldn't have been mad with the scoring of it. It was such a close and just like high level. The level of that fight was unreal, especially for a 3-round fight.
Yeah.
That should not have been a 3-round fight.
I think, that's true.
A number 1 contendership fight in a 3 rounds. It's like
for lightweight, one of the best divisions.
Charles Oliveira, like
Come on.
little weird, but like still, I need 5 rounds. So if Arman wins, or Charles Oliveira, boom.
Yeah, I think if you have a fight where it's super even and one person is the biggest fan favorite maybe of all time, and then the other guy is just Arman Tsarukyan, and people on the internet are about 50-50 split who won, I think it's the other guy. It's not the fan favorite.
Yeah.
Come on. Like, let's be real.
I mean, I did walk out of that fight thinking that
Oh, yeah.
I actually did have Charles winning that fight. But at the same time, I remember I was like, well, it's either way.
Yeah.
You know what? Like, I personally had Charles in my official judging scorecard, But either way, I wasn't going to complain.
You can't be upset. Also, Charles almost finished him like 2, maybe even 3 times. Oh. So if that would have happened, like, Charles is right back up there.
Yeah, Charles fighting Islam right now.
Yeah, it's crazy. So crazy. All right, I'll move on to my next pick. This one might be something that a lot of people don't agree with, and I'm not exactly sure the logistics of it, how they'd make this work, but I want to see Khamzat versus Usman too.
Okay.
Because the first fight, Khamzat did not prove that he's unbeatable. It was very, very close. The judges gave him a 10-8 round in the first round, which was the main point of controversy in that fight. And so if we have an Usman who's, maybe taking a little time off, getting back in the gym, at full health again, and we also have a reinvented Khamzat, though, it seems like. He's seeming mentally healthier, I guess.
More mature.
Yeah, more mature. Yeah, I think that's fair to say. But the thing I'm not sure about is what weight class would it be? Because I don't trust Khamzat for a second to make it back down to 170.
Khamzat is never making it back to 170.
So that means Usman would need to go up to 185. And then I'm like...
Usman at 185 would be huge.
He would be huge.
Holy.
But he's already like, he's ripped at 170.
Yeah, he would basically like mirror Drickus, just a little bit darker.
Still African, though.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. What do you think about that fight?
Like, obviously, you're not going to say no to a fight that would be as competitive on the ground and on the feet as Usman versus Chimaev. Like, I think that they have very similar skill sets. But at the same time, it's like if they had to go up to 185, Chimaev is probably fighting the best he's ever fought, coming off of the best win of his career. And then Usman, who has just kind of been out of the game for a while, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's like, who knows how this fight would go, but like, you're never going to say no to Usman versus Chimaev.
Well, I mean, if Usman looks like shit in his next fight, then whatever. We don't have to see
If he ever gets fraud checked by Buckley.
I need to see that.
No, thank you. I will pass on that. All right, moving on. My next fight. We could also see this year. There's some rumors for it. Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje 3. Just fight guys and then both retire. Because, like, realistically, neither of them are getting back to the belt.
You just want to see Patty move up the rankings, be honest.
Okay, what about it? What about it? Patty will do it either way. Oh, my brother trolled me so hard. Like, he was like, oh, Patty versus Chandler's official. And I was like, really? And then I was like, no, it's not.
Did he just randomly say that?
No, like, on his phone, he showed me an Instagram.
Oh.
And I was like, oh. And then it was like, no, this is the same post I've been seeing for the last 2 months.
Yeah.
They got to announce it, surely.
I think soon, yeah.
Surely.
313 or 314, maybe?
No, in London.
Oh, right. When is that? Is that
March 23rd, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm pulling out those dates.
He's a hardcore now.
Exactly. But with Poirier versus Justin Gaethje, what is there really to say? It's obviously...
We've seen it.
We've seen it twice now. We'd be seeing it for a third time, the trilogy.
Yeah.
Which guy's really going to go out on top? We've been talking about this fight for 6-8 months. I mean, probably, yeah, we've been talking about this fight forever. How badly both of us want to see this fight. Just because it's the only way to send off two guys like this.
I think I'd still pick Poirier.
I'd pick Poirier.
I don't care if Gaethje head kick KO'd him in their last fight. I'd still pick Poirier.
I'd 100% take Poirier. I'm not a Gaethje believer.
He just Gaethje doesn't feel reliable ever. If you pick Gaethje, it's like, okay, he could just sell here.
Rolling thunder.
Exactly. Like, just calm down, lock in. Don't act like you love taking damage to the head. Like, it's just annoying when you bet on him. Like, I was betting on him at UFC 300, and then you just see him be like so happy that his nose is broken. It's like,
I'm so glad.
Yeah, I'm so glad I'm taking extreme amounts of damage.
Pinocchio.
So glad I have CTE right now. All right, I'll go for my next person. Something we also saw at UFC 300, Wei Li versus Zhang Tu.
Ooh, one of the highest level women. It might be the highest level women's fight I've ever watched.
Yeah.
Zhang Wei Li, my goat. My girl.
She doesn't know you, little bro. She doesn't know you.
My girl.
We should get her on the podcast. What you saying, Whaley?
Hit us up. But yeah, super high level. And I think, especially after we just saw Yang Jianan look so good at UFC Macau, like, after the Tatiana Suarez fight, if Zhang Weili can retain, it's like, you never know. There's definitely a potential to have that rematch there.
Yeah, and Yan Xiaonan dominated Tabitha Ritchie in their last fight. So what? She took 4 strikes total, maybe
something like that.
It was crazy.
She looked unreal, and it was so interesting with that fight at UFC 300. Is Zhang Weili dominated and realistically put out Yan Xiaonan a few times, but then in the 4th round, Yan Xiaonan was on the comeback, almost tapping out Zhang Weili.
Yeah, it was wild.
It was actually such an exciting fight.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if you saw this, but I saw on Tabitha Ritchie's Instagram or Twitter, I'm not sure which one it is. It was like her training strength and agility. And the people in the comments are just so mean. They're like, how about you train for a fight next time? It's like, I'm sure she also trains for a fight.
Well, I can imagine what they would say to her after, if you've ever read, the Instagram reel comments of,
oh, yeah,
a kid with Down syndrome. They're just clowning them.
Oh, just general Instagram reel comments? I thought you were talking about ours. I was like, which one of us has Down syndrome?
Hope canceled. All right, moving on. My next fight. The amount of fights I have from lightweight, maybe I should have spread out the love a little bit.
You just looked at one division.
I literally was going through them and I was like, oh, lightweight. Dustin Poirier versus Dan Hooker.
Yeah. I mean, this is one of the probably my top 5 fights of all time. Their first fight.
Really?
Yeah. Just, dude, the sounds, especially because it didn't have a crowd. You can just hear the body shots when Poirier has him up against the fence. It's just disgusting.
Dude had those headphones on ASMR.
And I love it. I love it.
Mukbang UFC. But I think especially
we should do a mukbang UFC.
Did you see that some dude in the comments wanted us to live stream our reaction to 311? Sorry, guys, we can't do that. We can't.
Dylan says some naughty words.
But I think especially with Hooker being on this little resurgence, coming back with the tats, and then Poirier after his last fight, they both are coming off very good performances. Seeing him fight again,
yeah,
you can't go wrong with that fight.
I know.
The worst case scenario you get in that fight is either a super early knockout or a 5-round war that goes to a decision.
Yeah. How good is Dan Hooker's chin anymore? I can't remember because he went a long time where he took an insane amount of damage.
Well, he doesn't block. He doesn't block.
Yeah, he just eats it kind of. But I'm trying to remember when was the last time he got KO'd? My mind's blanking right now.
Oh, so the last time he got his chin cracked.
Why did I not know he was on a 3-fight win streak? Why does that feel so weird?
Well, because there was the long layoffs in between. It was 1 fight a year.
Oh, right.
He had the 2 canceled fights.
Right. So he has wins currently. His last 3, Gamrot, Turner, and then Puelles. And then he lost to Arnold Allen, which is so weird to think about now. By punches in round 1. Featherweight Dan Hooker does not look healthy.
No.
He's 6 foot, right?
Yeah.
When we did the height.
He already looks so thin in lightweight.
Yeah. The fact that Dustin and Dan Hooker, all those guys used to make featherweight is just.
Yeah, Charles.
Yeah, Charles.
Charles is so tall.
It's wild. I guess they just mature as they grow, but they're already 25.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just really torturing myself.
Yeah, it's bizarre. What would it take? What would it take for us to live stream UFC 311? Because I could do it. I could set it up.
And here's the thing: is there's a chance that the boys aren't.
Oh,
there.
true.
Producer Matt's gone, and then the other. This could be our chance.
Could be our chance, yeah.
Because we can't trust the other guys to.
No, we'd have to do it at your house though, because my Wi-Fi for streaming is not gonna hold up.
We could
get Dave Rose in the background.
We could talk logistics.
We could talk logistics.
But
what would it take? Does our audience actually want to see that? Because we have to know if people want to actually see a live stream.
We're not risking our YouTube channel for 3 viewers. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Not that we say anything horrid.
No, there's a high chance we get canceled. There's a very high chance this thing goes down the drain if we live stream. I think it'd be actually pretty fun to just the main card. We're not live streaming the whole day.
We can't do 7 hours.
I genuinely don't have the mental capacity to talk for 7 hours.
Oh, it would definitely be slipping out at the end.
Yeah. Either way you think about that, it's bad.
Let you guys infer on that one.
You need help. But yeah, I think it'd be kind of fun. Let us know if you guys actually want to see us do a live stream for UFC 311. It's possible. We could definitely do it. The quality would be so much better than anyone else on YouTube because we have real cameras. But yeah, I don't know. Mic ourselves up or something, or yeah. Be wild. I do have mics. The next one is something we just saw pretty recently. It's a flyweight fight. I want to see eventually down the road Royval versus Tyra 2.
Ooh.
It's something that definitely needs to be run back when Tyra gets a bit more experience, and Royval, maybe he's fallen back down, but he still looks really sharp, so he's probably still right up there.
I think even a year from now, like one more year of striking with Tyra would just kind of put him over the edge.
Yeah.
You know, his striking, it's still developing. You know, I think with every fight, it's getting better and better. So just giving him like another year and a half, and it's like he could easily go out there and take on Brandon Royval and get the win that time.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think especially for Tyra, work on generating power out of like the clinch, and while he has him in that body lock, like creating power to do more damage while he has his opponent on the ground.
Yeah, because
You know?
he's really just looking for submissions.
Yeah, and he's obviously not going to be the best striker in that division on the feet.
No.
So if he can get them down and do a ton of damage on the ground,
Yeah.
like very much similar to like what we would see from like a Charles Oliveira, where he's looking for that submission, but at the same time he's throwing
Elbows.
shots, elbows, and then even like elbows to the body. You know, just destroying them, breaking down.
Yeah. No, that's smart. I think if he trained with Charles, that'd be nuts.
All right, my next fight. It's a fight that was at UFC 307. It's a rematch I want to see just because it was that much of a banger, but I want a different outcome this time.
Oh.
Jose Aldo versus Mario Batista.
Why did I think you were about to say Khalil Roundtree versus Pereira? And I was like, why do you want a different outcome?
No.
What are you saying?
No. I want Jose Aldo to sleep Mario Batista. He needs his redemption.
Yeah, I was thinking about this.
That tainted his legacy. He needs to come back.
Tainted both of their legacies.
Lick my taint. All right.
Mario Batista doesn't really have a legacy, so I guess that doesn't matter.
Yeah, but like Jose Aldo needs to come back and just immediate rematch versus Mario Batista and get the win.
Here's a crazy idea. Just retire. How about you just retire, bro? How about you go back to retirement?
Yeah, like everyone kind of thought like, you know, he's coming back for the Rio card and then he's going to retire.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a dub. Let's keep going.
Yeah. What? I can still win?
He's on that win streak right now.
No, he's not. He's on a losing
Not
streak.
anymore. He was on a win streak.
Yeah. All right. I'll do my next person because this video's gone on too long.
Last person?
Last person each. Something that's rumored, I think for maybe 313 or down the road. Fiziev versus Gamrot 2. Because Fiziev, God knows what he's been doing for 2 years. Like, sure, he's been injured. Yeah, just like JDM's been injured. These guys, I don't know what's going on. Like, there's something behind the scenes. I think they're actually feds. Gamrot, he's coming off the loss to Dan Hooker. He moved down the rankings quite a bit. So I think it'd be a very even matchup. In their first fight, like, it was a good fight. Gamrot taking the win. I think I want to see Fiziev get it done, though. You know, I want to see if he still has it. I was thinking also for another rematch for Fiziev versus Gaethje, depending on if Gaethje starts going on a slide. But I genuinely think if Gaethje takes another hard loss, he's calling it quits.
Yeah. All right, my last fight. I know that one of these guys doesn't really have much skin in the game anymore. He's not really in it like he was, but I have heard talks of him potentially coming back for a fight. And this is probably my favorite fight of all time. And I just think that I would like to see it in a 3-round fight, maybe opening up like some big pay-per-view, just for memory's sakes. Like, the boys would love this fight. Dominic Cruz versus Cody Garbrandt 2.
What?
Just purely for vibes, purely for legacy.
That would be kind of funny. I didn't even think about that.
Well, because like Dominic Cruz, like he's in like to more like commentary now, but like he's talked about he would come back. You know, so getting to see that fight again, it probably would be so sloppy. One of them would just get hit one time, and CTA does him in out on the stretcher. But like, I just think for vibes, you know,
It'd be interesting.
Just that's my homer pick.
Yeah, who would you take in that fight?
Oh, Garbrandt.
Of course.
Garbrandt.
Of course.
Garbrandt.
Bet the house on Garbrandt.
Garbrandt beats Sean O'Malley.
I think that's a good note to end it on.
Yeah. All right. That is going to do it for us today, guys. Make sure you go down to those comments. Let us know what UFC rematches you guys need. While you're down there, make sure you guys are liking and subscribing, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
See ya.